everybody.
Mommy,
Hello, everybody.
we're gonna continue our discussion about the woman. So we're now in part 2 or 3? Part 3. So we discussed before about the woman and we ended here. We're now on the part of the dragon and the waters that the dragon spewed out. Okay, so we will know what this means. These are all symbolisms, metaphors. Mommy, read first.
Revelation 12:15. Then the dragon tried to drown the woman with a flood of water that flowed from his mouth. But the earth helped her by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that gushed out from the mouth of the dragon. And the dragon was angry at the woman and declared war against the rest of her children, all who keep God's commandments and maintain their testimony for Jesus.
So the dragon, this one. So we will know what does it mean, the dragon. The woman we know already and everything. What she is wearing, the moon, the sun, and everything. So we'll now focus what is the beast, the dragon. Okay? Because he is spewing out. He is like that is his weapon, water, so many water. And the purpose of the water is to drown the woman. Okay? And we will know what does it mean. So we're gonna read this first. Mommy, Macy, read this one.
Make it bigger. Read.
Dragon.
Metaphor.
Mother of Satan, serpent.
Mommy.
Beast, kingdoms, nations. Whore, false prophet, false apostate. Church, woman who prostituted.
This one, Macy. What's this?
Flood of water. People, nations, words, was
Teachings.
what of water?
This one, Mommy.
Drown the woman. Drown, overwhelm the pure church or Christian with false teachings, worldliness, unrighteousness, etc. Earth opened and swallowed water. The fate of worldly people enslaved by the beast or whore. The fate of those who rebel against Christ, just like those who rebel against Moses and Aaron. The punishment for the ungodly. Achan, love of money, destruction of the three above and all of their followers.
So we will read Bible verses which support this interpretation. Because these are symbolisms and metaphors, and we need to let the Bible interpret itself, because it's difficult. It's a very deep symbolism, so we should ask the Bible to interpret itself. Okay, and we should ask God's guidance on how to understand all these symbolisms. So let's read the verses which will support this interpretation. Where is it now? The beast. Mommy, the blue one.
Revelation 17:9. The 7 heads of the beast represent the 7 hills where the woman rules. They also represent 7 kings. The scarlet beast, the eighth king. The 10 horns of the beast are 10 kings, appointed to their kingdoms.
So the beast is these are symbolisms for kings, for kingdoms, for nations. So it's just like presidents or any political or religious leadership. So that's what the beast is symbolizing. These are kingdoms or nations. And the dragon, we all know that the dragon is a symbolism for Satan or the serpent. Okay? Because these three are ruling. So if there's Father, Son, Holy Spirit, there's a counterpart. Like a dragon, the beast, and the whore. It's just like a false prophet, right? God, there's a Son and there's a Holy Spirit. And he sent prophets as well. So the same way as the other three, it will send false prophets as well. So the whore, we said already, this is the false prophet. So read this one, Missy. Whore. Read the blue one. Babylon. Mami, ikaw na.
Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and the abominations of the earth. The church in Babylon. The woman you saw is a great city that rules over the kings of the earth. The kings of the earth were immoral with her, intoxicated with the wine of her immorality.
So this is a system. It's not only a specific city. So the very first one is Babylon, right? This is the wealthiest, and if we can go back to our history, this is the enemy of God, right? Babylon. It is very wealthy and the most progressive nation of that time. And it was destroyed. But then its spirit lived on. And in the times of the apostles, Peter mentioned a church in Babylon. But Babylon is already destroyed that time. But this is a code name for a city that is ruling that time, which is Rome. So it is a code name for Rome, because he said the church in Babylon is like greeting the Christians who are living in Rome. It is a woman. It's like it is symbolizing a church, right? So we learned that the clean woman, the pure woman, is the true church, the free church. But this one is also a woman, but this is a dirty woman. It is a false church. It has the three G's as well, right? It is using God, it is very wealthy, and it has honor and glory, right? We discussed yesterday, the other day, about the love of the world, right? Versus the love of God. So this is enslaving the people under those three G's, the love of the world. Okay? The kings of the earth were immoral with her, and she is also giving wine. As you can remember, Jesus is also giving wine, but that is making people righteous. These are symbolisms for teachings, right? And this one is also indoctrinating people, but the people are loving the world instead of God. But it is saying this is the love of God, but it is not. It is deception. Okay? And all the people, all who dwell on the earth, were intoxicated with the wine of her immorality. It is indoctrinating the people. It has teachings as well. And it's making all people adulterous. It means people are loving the world than loving God. Okay? Woman who prostituted, this is just the same. The common denominator. Read, mommy.
Common denominator of the three, dragon, beast, whore, or false prophet, is 3 G's: God, gold, glory. The kings of the world have committed adultery with her. A woman sitting on a scarlet beast, blasphemies against God were written all over it. The woman wore purple and scarlet clothing and beautiful jewelry made of gold and precious gems and pearls. She had a gold goblet full of obscenities and the impurities of her immorality. She was drunk with the blood of God's holy people who were witnesses for Jesus.
Macy, ikaw naman ito. Read this one. Read.
All the nation has fallen because of one of the planet immortality. For things of world have community as we have heard.
Money.
Because of her desires for extravagant luxury, the merchants of the world have grown rich. She glorified herself and lived in luxury. She boasted in her heart, I am queen on my throne, and the kings of the world who committed adultery with her and enjoyed her great luxury will mourn for her as they see the smoke rising from the charred remains. She bought great quantities of gold, silver, jewels, and pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, and scarlet cloth, thing made of fragrant fine wood, ivory goods, and objects made of expensive wood, and bronze, iron, and marble. She also bought cinnamon, spice, incense, myrrh, frankincense, wine, olive oil, fine flour, wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, wagons, and bodies, that is, human slaves, never to be yours again. The merchants who became wealthy by selling her these things will stand at a distance, terrified by her great torment. They will weep and cry out, how terrible for that great city! She was clothed in finest purple and scarlet linens, decked out with gold and precious stones and pearls. In a single moment, all the wealth of the city is gone.
So this is a system, a religious political system. This is not only one city. It's a symbolism for any political religious system which has these three, the love of the world, God, gold, and glory. Diba? So, if we can just open so we can understand more yung the love of the world, where did we put it? Sorry, Macy. We found it. So this is the one we're talking about, right? The 3 G's. So the love of the world. So these political religious systems are enslaving the people to the love of the world. It means they are using the name of God to do its own way of worship of God. It has its own religion, and it is telling the people you can only be saved, you can only be righteous by doing its own way of worship. And at the same time, it is enslaving the people to love the things of the world, gold, and all the glory, all the pleasures, food, etc. So that's what we're talking about, right? So that's the three common denominator of these three things or three symbols: the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet or the whore. Okay, it is very rich, very wealthy, and it is also religious, right? It is religious, but its religion is blasphemy against God. Okay? It is very glorious. She glorified herself and lived in luxury. So any religion, any country, any religion which is very wealthy, live in luxury, and it is using God as well. It has its own religion. Even those countries without which claims to be godless, but their God is actually the leader, or the will of the people is being followed, not the will of God. So it's just the same. These are symbolisms for worship, a system of worship that is not of God. Okay? Next, the water.
Water.
Hold on. So we are finished with these three already, and then we're now here, the flood of water, which symbolizes the people or the nations. We're gonna read some verses. Macy, read this one.
Water.
Read the first one. This one.
A nation's way to like with the west of many waters and books and a way to flee far away.
Mommy.
The great prostitute who sits on many waters. The waters you saw where the prostitute who was seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues.
So it's very clear. The waters symbolize people, nations, multitudes of people. So this is not only a specific group or a person, but these are many nations, multitudes of people. And the Bible says multitudes, these are billions. The great prostitute sits on many waters. So it means a church system which is enslaving lots of people. It sits on many waters. So this is not only our own interpretation. The Bible is interpreting itself, that the beast, the dragon, the whore, they are all spewing out waters which overwhelm the true Christians, the true people of God. Okay? And we already discussed this under blood, right? The meaning of water, blood, and the wine, the spirit. So these are teachings. These are words, because people do talk, right? These are especially religious teachings. Okay. Unrighteousness. Where are we now? So we will discuss what is the woman being drowned from. So the woman is being drowned with water of unrighteousness or worldliness, right? Because since the true church, that the remnants or the true children of God are still living in this world, God said you should endure all these things. The flood of waters, it means the flood of false teachings, worldliness, unrighteousness. Okay, so let's see what does it mean, the unrighteousness. Macy, read this one. Read.
In the last days, scoffers will come, walking through
Mocking.
truth and their own desires.
Mommy.
In later times, some will abandon the faith to follow deceitful spirits and the teachings of demons, influenced by the hypocrisy of liars. Many will fall away, and they will betray one another and will hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and will lead many astray. And because lawlessness is to be multiplied, the love of many will grow cold. The last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that.
So this is what the Bible is referring to when it says unrighteousness, worldliness, the flood of waters. There will be too many people who will be worldly, who will love the world, right? So people will be living in loving these things, desiring these things: money, wealth, pride, food, possessions, self-indulgence, what we say, feasting, partying, and all the things that this world desires. And they will act religious, diba? There will still be an element of God. So although the world is becoming worldly, there will be an element of godliness, diba? They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. What does it mean? So they will act religious. The frankincense is symbolizing religiosity, the religions of the world, but they will reject the power, the true love of God. They will reject the power which will make them godly. The power of God is the love, His love, the love of God. So they will reject this one, and they will stay here, right? So what we are trying to say is, this is unrighteousness, right? And this is what is being used by Satan to deceive the nations. We are being told that this is the love of God, that this is love. But no. This is the love of the world, and it is the water that is flooding us. So para siya, it's like a wolf in a lamb's skin, clothing. So it is disguising itself to be righteous, di ba? But in reality, it is not, di ba? It is enslaving the people to all of this, to worldliness. Next.
Earth opened and swallowed water. The ground beneath them split open, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households, all Korah's men and all their possessions. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them along with Korah, whose followers died when the fire consumed men, 250 men, They serve as a warning sign. These curses will be a sign and a wonder upon you and your descendants forever.
So this one happened in the time of Moses, diba? When after they were freed from slavery in Egypt. So they were in the wilderness, and Korah is like a man who is like he doesn't want to be under the authority of Moses and Aaron. So they're like rebelling against Moses, against God. And they were swallowed literally by the earth. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them and their households. That served as a warning sign. These curses will be a sign and a wonder upon you and your descendants forever. Because this does not only refer to the Israelites. This happened in the past to serve us. It's a warning to all people, including us. Because Moses, diba, he's like a picture of Jesus Christ. Moses is the mediator to God during the Old Covenant. But in the New Covenant, our mediator is Jesus Christ. So this is just like Korah and all his men, all his followers are symbolizing the people now who are in rebellion against Jesus, who don't want to follow Jesus Christ, just like them who don't want to follow Moses, right? They were swallowed literally by the earth. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them. Oh. Why? What's the reason of the rebellion? May I read this one? They
instant rebel against
Moses.
Moses along with 250 leaders of the community of prominent members of assembly.
Mommy.
They united against Moses and Aaron and said, "You have gone too far. The whole community of Israel has been set apart by the Lord, and He is with all of us. What right do you have to act as though you are greater than the rest of the Lord's people?" Then Moses summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, but they replied, "We refuse to come before you. Isn't it enough that you brought us out of Egypt, a land flowing with milk and honey, to kill us here in the wilderness, and that you now treat us like your subjects? What's more, you haven't brought us into another land flowing with milk and honey. You haven't given us a new homeland with fields and vineyards. Are you trying to fool these men? We will not come."
Oh, so this is the reason of the rebellion. They were unsatisfied, diba? They are grumbling, they were complaining because they said, "You took us away from Egypt." So Egypt is a symbolism of the love of the world, diba? It has all these things. Although they are under slavery in Egypt, but Egypt is very rich. They have enough food. They can do their feast. They can do their partying and everything. They have their possessions. They can do indulgence, self-indulgence, and they can do their religion. There's glory and honor because Egypt is very, very wealthy, very luxurious, diba? It's a picture of the love of the world. So that's what they're complaining about. They said, "You took us away from that world. You promised us a land flowing with milk and honey. But they said, there's no food here. We are starving in this wilderness. Diba? So it's a picture of the people now. So these people underwent they underwent baptism as well, right? Sabi sa Bible, when the Israelites crossed the Red Sea, the parted sea, it's like a picture of baptism. They were baptized under Christ. So Christ is hovering under them. Diba? So it's like Christians now who underwent baptism. Diba? But we are still, our desires are still the love of the world. Diba? We want to go back to Egypt. We are saying, you are putting us here in this wilderness under the leadership of Moses, under the leadership of Jesus Christ. But they are complaining, there's no food here, there's no happiness here, there's no partying here. So that's what they are complaining about. They are grumbling. Diba? So what happened next? You read all of this, Mommy.
And Moses said, "This is how you will know that the Lord has sent me to do all these things that I have done, for I have not done them on my own. This man die a natural death, or if nothing unusual happens, then the Lord does not send me. But if the Lord does something entirely new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them and all their belongings, and they go down alive into the grave, then you will know that these men have shown contempt for the Lord." He had hardly finished speaking the words when the ground suddenly split open beneath them. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed the men, along with their households and all their followers who were standing with them, and everything they owned. So they went down alive into the grave, along with all their belongings. The earth closed over them, and they all vanished from among the people of Israel. All the people around them fled when they heard their screams. "The earth will swallow us too," they cried. Then fire blazed forth from the Lord and burned up the 250 men who were offering incense.
So this is the fate of the people who rebel against Moses. Diba? The earth literally swallowed them whole, and fire from God burned them. So this is a warning. It's like it's a sign given that time. It applies to all of us, that Moses is a counterpart of Jesus Christ, and the people now are refusing to follow Christ. Diba? They want to do their own religion. They want to do their own way of worship. So as you can read here, the 250 men were offering incense. So they are religious. Diba? They are doing their own religion. These are leaders, 250 leaders of the community, and they are prominent members of the assembly. So these are like priests, pastors, religious leaders who are enslaving the people to do their own way of worship, diba? But at the same time, they are inflaming the people to still be doing these things, to be enslaved by the love of the world, diba? So these are false religions. These are false religious teachers. They are doing their own way of worship. They were offering incense, diba? And that's what we are trying to put here. Frankincense. These are man's way of worshiping God. So, you understand, Mommy?
Mm-hmm.
That these are symbolisms, and this apply to us in this world. Okay, the punishment for the ungodly. Read.
Some ungodly people have wormed their way into your churches, saying that God's marvelous grace allows us to live immoral lives. The condemnation of such people was recorded long ago, for they have denied our only Master and Lord Jesus Christ.
Missy, read this one.
Jesus first rescued the nation of Israel from Achan, but later he destroyed those who did not remain faithful.
So we want to be clear here that the counterpart of Moses is Jesus Christ, right? He is the mediator of the new covenant. The old covenant, the mediator is Moses. So there are religious leaders now who are saying that God's grace allows us to live immoral lives. So although these teachers, these religious leaders are teaching about Christ, are teaching about God, the love of God, but they're still enslaving the people to do these immoralities, because these are immoralities, the love of the world. Okay, as we can remember, money is the root cause of all evil. The desires of money, of wealth, and everything, food. Although we need all these things, but too much desire of it, too much discontentment will lead to ungodliness. Di ba? It is very clear here in Jude 1 that Jesus was the one who rescued Israel from Egypt. So, people are saying that Jesus is not present in the old times, in the old covenant, but Jesus is always there, right? Jesus is the one who rescued the people from Egypt. And many people now are saying Jesus did not say this, did not say that, that is written in the old covenant, in the Old Testament. But he is the one speaking there, right? And he destroyed those who did not remain faithful. This one.
Like Balaam, they deceive people for money, and like Korah, they perish in their rebellion.
As we remember, Balaam is a false prophet. He is, diba? He can see visions from God. He can prophesy. He can do prophecy as well. But he is using that gift for money. Diba? So this is all about money, about pleasure. All the desires of these people are money. Korah as well, and all the people who are doing their own way of worship, all their desires is money. Diba? Possessions, food, pleasures of life, and they are using the name of God in the name of religion to do these things, to do this thing. Okay? Macy, read this one.
One of these people eat trivial fellowship
Meals.
celebrating food with love. They are like dangerous reefs that can separate you.
Mommy.
These people are grumblers and complainers, living only to satisfy their desires. They brag loudly about themselves, and they flatter others to get what they want.
So this is in Jude, diba? So it is talking about Christians. They were converted, they were baptized, but their desires are still the love of the world. Diba? They are complainers, grumblers. That's why we need to study about this as well. It is under patience that it is under love is patient. That we should not be complaining and grumbling. For example, you don't have food anymore. The people of Israel were severely punished by God when they were complaining about the lack of food when they were in the wilderness, because God is testing them. Who do you desire? Is it the love of God or the love of the world? Diba? People's desire is the food. Diba? Money, wealth. So they are telling Moses, take us back to Egypt. In Egypt, we have lots of food, we can do all these things, we can celebrate this and that, we can feast. You took us here in the wilderness. So it's just like Jesus. You baptized us. I became Christian, but I cannot do feasting anymore. I cannot make myself rich anymore. So you are complaining. So although you are baptized already, your desire is still this one. So just like the people of the Israelites before, that's what they are doing. And Jude here is saying, these people were baptized. There are many Christians who were baptized, but they were grumblers, complainers, and living only to satisfy their desires. They eat with you in your fellowship meals, commemorating the Lord's love. But they are like reef that can shipwreck you. Ano ibig sabihin nun? What does it mean?
Strong.
These are believers who are still a slave of the world, right? So, yung parang bahura in Tagalog, what they call that? Yung mga big rocks under the ocean. Pag tumama, when the ship hits a reef, or just like what happened to Titanic, di ba? When it hit an iceberg, so it sunk, it can shipwreck you. So this is what Paul was talking about as well in, where was that? 1 Corinthians 15? I forgot. Somewhere in 1 Corinthians, that when the people are doing the Lord's Supper, some of them are very greedy, diba? He said, don't you have your own houses? Eat there first. Why are you shaming the people who have no foods? You become drunk, you become greedy, you eat a lot while other people are hungry. So that is an example of believers, of Christians who are claiming to be believers, to be saying we believe in Jesus Christ, but their desires are still here, diba? And that's what Jude is referring here as well. When people eat in your fellowship meals, they're doing Lord's Supper, they can shipwreck you. Okay? Their desires are still the love of the world. Food and partying and celebrating and all the things that the love of the world is offering. This one.
In the last times, there would be scoffers whose purpose in life is to satisfy their ungodly desires. These people are the ones who are creating divisions among you. They follow their natural instincts because they don't have God's Spirit in them. And you must show mercy to those whose faith is wavering. Rescue others by snatching them from the flames of judgment. Show mercies to steal others, but do so with great caution, hating the sins that contaminate their lives.
So if we can just look at the people in social media, in Facebook, there are lots of scoffers, right? And if you can hear what they are trying to say, they just want to satisfy their desires, di ba? We want to do these things, we are free to do these things, no one can tell us what to do. They want to be wealthy, they want to party, they want to be rich, they want to do their own way of worship, they want to do their own they want to glorify themselves and pleasure as well, especially sexual pleasure, di ba? They said they are claiming to be believers of Christ, but they don't want to follow what he wants, di ba? And they will say, they will justify their unrighteous living, unrighteous lives. And although they are saying we are believers, or even though when you say I don't believe in God, but then you are trying to justify your unrighteous living by scoffing God. When you say scoffing, you are a scoffer, you are insulting God. And you can see it from lots of people. There are lots of interviews in Facebook, diba? In social media, that these people really exist. And the advice given to us is show mercy to those whose faith is wavering, but do so with great caution. So you hate the sins but not the person, diba? Be careful that those sins will not contaminate you, hating the sins that contaminate their lives. We don't want to really say exactly who these people are, but you can see it now that there are many people who are like this. And it's not only talking about sexual sins, sexual immoralities, everything here, all the love of the world, all the people who are doing this, who are still under the slavery of these things, when you try to correct them, they will really hate you. They will say you are a hater, you don't have love. And that's what the Bible is saying here. Do so with great caution. You will not hate these people. You will not judge them. You will try to correct them, but still with gentleness, with mercy. You hate the sins, but not the person. Okay? Oh, another example, sin of Achan. It is true.
It is true that Achan replied, I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what I did. When I saw among the spoils a beautiful cloak from Shinar, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels. I coveted them and took them. They are hidden in the ground inside my tent with the silver underneath. Why have you brought this trouble upon us? Said Joshua. Today the Lord will bring trouble upon you. And all Israel stoned him to death. Then they stoned the others and burned their bodies. And they heaped over Achan a large pile of rocks that remains to this day. So the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore, the place is called the Valley of Ashur to this day.
This one.
Love of money. For this you can be sure, no immoral, impure, or greedy person that is an idolater has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. By craving it, some have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many sorrows. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God.
So this is all about money, right? The love of wealth. So God gave us lots of examples before, and this one is Achan. He is a man, he is an Israelite, because when they conquered, for example, their neighboring countries who are idolatrous, so the commandment of God is to destroy everything, the people and their idols, the statues of the idols, and everything that is attached to the idol, the silver, the gold, and everything. But what this person did is he took the silver, the gold, he coveted them, and he hid them under the ground, under his tent, under his house. And that's why he was destroyed, right? So in the New Covenant, in the New Testament, we are also commanded by God not to desire money, not to desire wealth. So in the Old Covenant, we are commanded not to desire the graven images, the statues, the idols, and the silver or gold on them. That's what we are doing as well. So even though we are not doing the literal idolatry, we are still enslaved with the love of silver or gold or money, and those are attached to these idols, diba? Because that is the literal love of the world, love of the things of this world. You are still under here, okay? What is the destruction? What is the fate of the tree, this tree, and their followers? So we are now on the last one. How the earth opened and swallowed the water. Last one, Missy, you read this one, the title.
Destruction for free about
Dragon, beast,
dragon beast who fast puppet forwards.
money.
When the 1,000 years are complete, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to assemble them for battle. Their number is like the sand of the seashore. And they marched across the broad expanse of the earth and surrounded the camp of the saints and the beloved city. But fire came down from heaven and consumed them. And the devil who had deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, into which the beast and the false prophet had already been thrown. There they will be tormented day and night forever and ever.
Siphania 3.
I have wiped out many nations, devastating their fortress walls and towers. Their streets are now deserted. Their cities lie in silent ruin. There are no survivors, none at all. I thought, surely they will have reverence for me now. Surely they will listen to my warnings. Then I won't need to strike again, destroying their homes. But no, they get up early to continue their evil deeds. Therefore be patient, says the Lord. Soon I will stand and accuse these evil nations, for I have decided
Kingdoms of earth.
the kingdoms of the earth, and pour out my fiercest anger and fury on them. All the earth will be devoured by the fire of my jealousy. I will remove all proud and arrogant people from among you. There will be no more haughtiness on my holy mountain. Those who are left will be the lowly and humble, for it is they who trust in the name of the Lord.
So that is the fate, the punishment of
The ungodly.
the ungodly. All the people who follow these three, the dragon, the beast, the whore, all the people who are loving the world, right? Because when you have the love of the world, you are considered a proud person, diba? You are not a believer of God, a believer of Christ. Since what did God said? He is a jealous God. He said, I am a jealous God. And what is he jealous about? So in the old covenant, he is, when the people are still doing this idolatry, literal idolatry, he is jealous about that. It is a literal worship of the things of the world. And as we progress as a nation, or as the whole world, some of us are still doing the literal idolatry, but most of us, all of us, are still under this idolatry of the gold, the glory attached to those idols. So if we are still under the love of the world, we are considered proud and boastful people. We are not humble, right? And we are still doing our own religions, our own way of worshiping God. We are not following what Christ did. Okay? So it is saying here that the fate, the very last thing that God will do is to punish everyone, to really destroy everything. Read this again, Macy.
I will remove all present
Arrogant.
people from among you. Will be no more
Haughtiness.
in holy mountain. Those who left will be
the
lowly and humble. It is they who trust him over the word.
So we should define what is a lowly and a humble person. Diba? Because we have false humility. This is false humility. Going to church, praying, giving gifts. These are false humility. This is true humility. You can only be called a humble and a lowly person if you are under here. Diba? If you are under here, you are still proud person. Because you are still doing the things which were finished by Christ already when he was crucified. So he finished these all things. Diba? All the religions of the world that we are doing, all the offerings that we do, these are all finished. And all our desires of these things, the gold, the myrrh, the frankincense, these are the desires of the world. And we are called proud and boastful and arrogant if we are still doing these things, right? So we should learn the examples written in the Bible, the people, the characters what happened to them, what are they complaining about, what are they are grumbling, they are in rebellion against Moses. So the same as us, we are in rebellion against Jesus Christ. So it is already written that people who are under this system will be destroyed. So it's not very important to know the details of these thousands of years, Gog and Magog, and what will happen, the lake of fire and everything. These are the secrets of God, and we should not delve deeper into those things. What we should do, what we should try to really understand is how can we escape this punishment, this destruction, di ba? And God already commanded us what to do, how to escape that destruction, and how to get away, how to be free from these things, di ba? We should be humble, we should be lowly, we should do the right love of God, not the love of the world. Okay? Because in our past discussions, we only focused here, di ba? Yung physical versus spiritual works. But there is a bigger idolatry here. The gold and the mirror, which is about the greatness, wealth in this world. We should be free from all these desires. Okay? Those who are left will be the lowly and the humble. That's it. What did you understand, Missy?
I don't know what to understand.
So we're now finished about the meaning of Revelation chapter 12. The woman, the beast, what does it mean? So do you understand now? What do these symbols mean? Yeah. The woman, the dragon, the beast, the waters, how the waters were punished. Okay? Mommy, you have a question?
No.
Do you understand now?
Yes.
So when we first read this, if you will just read this without studying it, you will just be confused, di ba? Because in Revelation it has lots of symbolism. Let's sing.